Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys watched the FEHeroes live stream yesterday. If you didn't, then I have the link for you in the description. I want to know your thoughts on the materials presented in the live stream. You can share your opinions in the comments below. So in the live stream, there was quite a bit of information that was shared with us, and one of the topics I want to talk about was the Askr Trio's weapon refinements. The new refinements aren't exactly OP or anything, they're decent, but the fact that the Askr Trio finally received some sort of upgrade is great. They're heading in the right direction. They've been lackluster for a long time, and weapon upgrades are a good start. And just so we're clear, these refinements are not in the game yet. I don't know when they will be added, but I'm guessing sometime in the beginning of August. First, let's take a look at Alphonse. His original weapon has Defiant Attack 2. When you upgrade it with any refinement, it loses Defiant Attack 2 but gains Brazen Attack Defense 3. It'll also gain Triangle Depth 3 only if you upgrade it with the effect Refinement. So first and foremost, Brazen Attack Defense is a huge upgrade from Defiant Attack 2. Alphonse will only need to take 9 damage in order to activate Brazen Attack Defense, whereas before, he needed to have taken 22 damage in order to activate Defiant Attack 2. Not only is Brazen Attack Defense's requirement easier to meet, but the buff is obviously better. It grants 2 more attack and 7 more defense than Defiant Attack 2, and the most important thing is that the buff from Brazen skills are combat buffs, unlike Defiant skills. For the new players that do not know, combat buffs stack with every single type of buff in the game, but only activatable during combat, hence the name. Anyways, the hot topic is the Triangle Depth 3 refinement. Is it worth it? Well, it depends on the build. From what I've seen, most players think it's bad, but I think it's decent. If we consider the facts that Alphonse is a unit that currently cannot get any merge levels and always has to go up against plus 10 merged foes in Arena or Arena Assault, then Triangle Depth is a solid skill for him. It even works great with brazen stacking builds like this one. With this set, in the beginning of the match, use him to counter an axe unit on enemy phase, use him kind of like a anti-green wall, and he'll be able to come out of combat with above 50% HP against most axe matchups, right? Then after you dispose what's left of the axe foe, either by finishing them off with Alphonse or an ally, he still has enough health to be able to use Swordbreaker to potentially take out a single plus 10 sword foe. If he did not have Triangle Depth, let's say you give him the defense refinement, then in most cases he won't have enough health to utilize Swordbreaker after tanking some plus 10 X foes. But then there's also this. Everyone's always thinking about, hey, how does my Triangle Depth unit perform during combat? But they don't realize that Triangle Depth is more useful outside of combat. It's so easy to manipulate AI if you have units equipped with Triangle Depth. Alphonse actually has a great stat line for this sort of stuff. He has terrible speed, therefore any blue enemy with 5 more speed than him will most likely chase after him if he has Triangle Depth. All you gotta do is put a green ally in front of Alphonse, blue enemies will move towards him, then you can just use the green ally that's next to Alphonse to take out the blues. And that's pretty much it for my explanation on why I think this refinement is decent. However, if you dislike Triangle Depth for whatever reason, then plus defense refinement is the way to go. And I'm not going to go into detail about builds because there's many build possibilities. Some sort of steady breath, quicker post set is probably his best enemy face set with a defense refinement. Alright, next is Sharina. Her weapon went from having Threat and Attack 2 to neutralizing foes bonuses during combat. I'm not entirely a big fan of these neutralizing buff effects because 1, I see combat buff stacking more nowadays, and 2, if you run into an opponent using display buffs, then it's very easy to separate the foes in some situations with the power of AI manipulation. That'll cause some enemies to not be able to receive certain display buffs. Despite me saying all of that, I don't mind that it's replacing the Threat and Attack 2 effect because Threat and Attack 2 is kinda outdated. There are better ways to debuff attack now, whether it be from ploys, smokes, daggers, and etc. So let's talk about the speed defense bond refinement. Sharina is a lot like Nephany. They both have okay attack, high speed, and good defense. Their weapon effect refinements are also similar in the sense that they both grant speed and defense, except that Sharina's speed defense bond can be used on both phases. Since she already has a bond skill built into her weapon, I think we may as well give her a bond skill in the A slot. Attack speed bond with chill speed would be something I would do. With chill speed, this set will work a lot like a quick post set, except that chill speed adds more depth into your team. Other skills worth considering are the breath skills, other bonds, other chills, wrath, and etc. There's a lot of build possibilities with Sharina as well. Overall, I think she has a good refinement. She's always been like a pseudo tank and supportive type of unit. This weapon sort of fulfills that role. The bond effect forces her to stay close with allies, and that right there means that she'll make good use of C-slot buffing skills. Last but not least is Ana. Her new upgrade weapon has the exact same effect as her old one, except that the health requirement has a 10% difference. Basically, if her health is equal or lower than 50%, she can teleport next to a space adjacent to any ally, just like the B skill Escape Route 3. The effect Refinement says that if her health is equal or above 50%, then she can teleport to any ally within 2 spaces. That's similar to the formation skills like flyer formations, except that there's no restrictions. Everyone is hating on this weapon. Most players think that this is the worst refinement out of the 3. I can definitely see that, but at the same time, I think her weapon is very interesting. She's now one of the most mobile infantry units in the game right now, and I think there are a few skills that work very well with this weapon. One of the builds I had in mind was a build using a bond and a feint skill. Since she's able to teleport all over the place no matter what her health is at, she can easily pick and choose where to activate speed feints ploy-like effect, and because she always has to land adjacent to a unit, giving her a bond skill makes a lot of sense. I chose attack defense bond just to balance out her mixed bulk. With this build, she has 33 defense and 34 resistance without any additional buffs, which is decent for a speedy unit. If you apply tactic buffs, then her defenses increase to 40 defense and 41 res. Another wacky build I thought of was a build using the link skills. I think using her mobility with smite and a link skill would be really fun to use. Pretty much just use her to teleport behind an ally and smite them forward, which will grant the ally the link buff. If the ally so happens to be within 2 spaces still, then they will be able to receive the drive buffs. You don't have to use double drive defense, use whatever kind of drive skill you want. You also don't have to use smite. Reposition can also work, but I think smite would be a lot more interesting since it's rarely used. This set isn't very good for combat since it's pretty much filled with supportive skills, but she should be able to deal with average blue units. Just use her for one fight, and for the rest of the match, either smite and activate the link skill, or just teleport behind allies and spread the drive buffs aura around. If you do not have any of these rare B slot skills, then a simple desperation set will work. I recommend Fury Desperation with a resistance refined Naotan, and that will allow Ana to be able to run ploys effectively. Alright, so before I tell you guys my opinion on whether or not these refinements are worth the divine due, just know that these 3 units are still not that good compared with the other available units in the summoning pool, plus they have no merge potential. With all of that being said, none of these weapons are actually worth the divine due, despite the fact that they all make the units better in some way or somehow, whether it be an increase in damage, becoming a better tank, or becoming a better supportive unit. Nothing's wrong with the weapons, it's just the units themselves. They're just not worth heavy investment unless you don't summon from new banners a lot and always lack a bonus unit for arena. Only then I would think it's okay to heavily invest into them. But if you want to know my opinion on which weapon is best to worst, then I would take Alphonse's weapon at number 1, Sharina's at number 2, and Ana's number 3. Now if you ask me which weapon I think is the most interesting and opens the doors to many creative builds, then I would say it's Ana, Sharina, then Alphonse. They're all decent and good in their own way. I don't think any of them are terrible. Anyways, just remember that if you like the unit, then go ahead and build them. That's what this game is all about, right? And that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.